Para profundizar un poco más sobre este tercer hito. Silencio. Silencio. Hacemos silencio. Hacemos silencio.
Les pedimos por favor guardar silencio. Estamos preparando nuestra actividad. Por favor, habrá tiempo para conversar durante el día.
Und wenn das stimmt, dass nun tatsächlich 1914 die Gottesmutter sich hier niedergelassen, ihren Thron aufgeschlagen, ihre Werkstätte eingerichtet hat, dann meinen wir sagen zu dürfen, was sie damals begonnen, das hat sie im Laufe der Jahre von 1914 bis heute in einzigartiger Weise fast Jahr um Jahr in erhöhter Weise vollendet getan.
We give thank you, Mary, for this encounter.
Bien, bienvenidos nuevamente.
Well, welcome back. We're going to continue with our program.
Esperamos que hayan tenido un
We
buen café,
hope you had a good coffee.
sus energías para seguir adelante.
Get your energy back for today. We want to begin. Our second impulse reminds you that we have the QR code for the questions too. For our panelists invited, remind them that we also have a traduction instantly. Give thanks to our international family that are with us online.
Así es también, vamos a reafirmar el tema de la actualidad. Tenemos
Also,
todavía
remind everyone of punctuality, of time. Afterwards, we're gonna go here to lunch, so each one of us could go to the places that we were assigned. Remind also.
Comienzan a las 2:30 en punto hasta las 4:30. Y que la puntualidad es fundamental, porque estas personas que con mucho cariño han preparado estos encuentros requieren la sala completa para iniciar. Así que medir muy bien los tiempos para que puedan llegar a sus talleres en los encuentros en África.
Así es. Bueno, con esto, Erika, nos vamos
With
por
this,
nuestro
we
impulso
can
número dos.
begin our impulse number 2. So tell us what it's.
Nuevamente acá a Susi, nuestra
We're gonna have
periodista
Susie, our
estrella,
journalist,
para
start
este segundo
for this
impulso.
second impulse.
Este segundo impulso
The
que se
second
llama
impulse that's called.
Mensaje y vivencia del 31 de mayo.
It is to know and deepen our understanding of the message of the third milestone of the history of Schoenstatt. Susie, thank you again for coming here. Thank you. Okay, we already had our first impulse at 9:15, where we had to see, we saw the context of where the May 31st started, that which is the entire story of our movement, is the vision of Schoenstatt. And which is that mission is what we're going to talk about right now in this panel, which is the message and how we live it, because it has a message, but it is an evidence of the Father for our family. Now I'm going to present to you our panelists. First, Hermana Aleja will share the. She will share the reasons that led Father Anthony to write the answer of the letter, Father Patricio Mora. Father Patricio Mora will contact. He studied at St. Gaspar School and graduated with a degree of economics of the University of Chile. For Torgi, he was a member of the General Council of the Schoenstatt Fathers. He is currently accompanies the Family Federation in Chile and Bolivia. Benjamin Suazo, he's been here since he was 9. He is married. He has 5 kids. He's a clinical psychologist. He's a doctor. Incredible. He works with a psychotherapist for adults. So we're going to start with a little video of Impulse before beginning this conversation. My dear Schoenstatt family, up until now, Schoenstatt has focused all of its efforts on the realization of the first global, the new person in the new community with universal apostolic character.
Der neue Mensch in der neuen Gemeinschaft mit universellem apostolischen Gepräge.
Today, our deformed society needs a new breath of life. It's about breaking rigid attachments to form. Said more precisely, it's about freeing our society from the slavery to certain forms.
Zu brechen dieser Versklavung an bestimmte Formen. Sie sind deswegen der
The person motivated by love in the community motivated by love. In the other generations, faithful to tradition, strives again and again towards the ideal of the new person in the new community. The younger generation will not rest to strive for it as well, but amplifying the horizon and putting in the foreground with an ever-growing strength the great ideal to rescue the West. If I see God as the ultimate center, if I isolate, then God from created beings, this centralization by way of isolation will always run the risk of soon becoming atheism or nihilism. It does not recognize the first cause in the second or the second cause of the first. The mechanistic mentality separates the first and second causes. It separates head, heart, and will. All of God's activity in relation to human beings has but one great aim: that each person becomes an alter Christus, another Christ. Just as God the Father treats Christ, so does He treat us. Our Holy Mother has a role to play in the salvation of the West. What does our Holy Mother want then? She wants to defeat the collectivist person. How? In the first place, she wants that we give ourselves to her, that we let ourselves be educated by her as new persons. She wants to lead the church to the new and newest shore. If today we are living a new chapter in the history of salvation, the old constants will repeat. Our Holy Mother should repeat her fiat if she does not repeat it. Then neither will its effect be realized. And the words made flesh. This also was the reason to take the enormous risk of the 31st of May of 1949. Words of our Father, the content from different letters, messages, where he talks about the new man, the new community, a man and animated by the love. He talks about the breaking the formality, rescuing the West, to not isolate the creature of God, the mechanism to recognize the first cause, the second cause, and then the great plan and goal for Christ is for us to be with Christ and to be educated by the Mary. A beautiful message, Benjamin. What does it sound to you hearing the Father and seeing this video?
Ahí se escucha, parece.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Bueno, gusto saludarlos. Una alegría estar
It's a
aquí,
pleasure to meeting
haciendo
you all,
algunas reflexiones
Yeah.
Sencillas, quizás.
reflecting on
segundo
these
impulso,
second,
yo veía
second
aquella envidia a la
impulse.
hermana que miraba
I
el
view
escuchando el
the
padre y entendía el alemán.
I envy the sister that can hear the German of the sister, so they're lucky to hear it directly in German.
Me venía un primer pensamiento,
So the first thought,
mirándolos a todos
looking
ustedes,
all of you all,
gente,
there's a lot of people,
y el
and
padre, una
the
frase del
father,
padre
one of the
que decía,
father, one of the sentences that he said
de
is
que
that
cuanto mayor sea, decía él, cuanto mayor sea el progreso exterior,
the
tanto
more
mayor ha
the
de ser el crecimiento o la profundización interior. Y bueno, ha crecido harto la familia desde
so the family
el
has
año
grown
49
a lot since the
ojalá que
94.
estos 75
And I
años
hope
sean una
these
instancia
75
para
years
todos nosotros,
is an
para la
insight for
familia,
all of us, for our family to grow
en este contenido tan
in
bonito
this
que es
content that's
Serie
very
Urbana.
beautiful, that's May the 1st.
Este nuestro contenido sobre
And not only
ideas.
content, but ideas.
Bueno, yo soy psicólogo,
I'm a
psicólogo
psychologist,
clínico,
a
me
clinical
dedico a
psychologist.
la atención
I
de pacientes ahí
patients
día a
in
día,
day
reviso
to
todos los
day.
días,
I
soy
have that every single
académica
day, and I also
en la
have
academia,
a foot in the academy in the
y entonces
university.
naturalmente
So
la
naturally,
primera
the
pregunta
first
inicial
question
se
that
centra en la
that I
propuesta del padre que
that
él
ask with the
¿qué
proposal of
medidas
Padre Anthony, and what measures is this
ayudan a la psicología?
proposes help the psychology, the human psychology,
No la psicología,
not in the
no la
human
psicología como
psychology
disciplina,
as
como
in a discipline or
ciencia,
science, but if not in, it is important that we ask ourselves if it helps our own psychology, if it helps to heal and help us grow.
Y también me preguntaba
And
si
also
es
ask
que
myself
esto, lo que plantea el padre,
if what a father proposes is dialogues with what today we're learning in psychology, or do they communicate? And I think the response is that they do communicate with them. So there's a lot of dialogue, and that this is a proposal that for me it's incredible that he is able to synthesize so many profound things, and rather that it's so connected with reality. So maybe a first idea that has to do with the video, what Susie said, is that the second cause is that sometimes it leaves us philosophically, but it's very concrete. The first cause is God, the second cause is the creation, us, then the created. And for the father, it was very important for him that the faith is not abstract, like intellectual. If not, he wanted that we can assume everything that natural human with our strength, with the intelligence, with the memory, how it affects our imagination, to redeem it. There was like a fracture that he saw. We can even see it today with our lives. Like he just said, put politically, what I am. Sometimes we intellect the faith and we separate. So for him, the father, it was very important. So for him, it was very important, the rationality, that for the reason, maybe something different from the internal, a little separate from what it affected. So one as a psychologist is very important, how is it affecting. So the faith is very important in have security and it's not like the security of what I think I am, but to experiment the security, or for example the love, the charity that transforms something concrete and something sweet, and so having preocuparse for other people, something close. So for the hope that surrounds the people. So today we have a different context. I think from rationality, we can think that we have like a pendulum. So it's like the missions, our emotions are really centered in the culture, and we can see this in different culture. Sometimes our culture sees the materialistics, something fast, what is wasteful, because is
Así que bueno, se fijan que de época en época va cambiando
so
un
that if
poco los acentos, los problemas.
things start to change in society, but what the father proposes is still really important and big. So after 75 years, things have varied, and there has been. But even though some things have changed, what he proposes is still brings harmony and an impact. And this is a proposal that's very deep. So this is a little. I'm gonna say something small, something more personal, maybe for in the psychology side. We work with the emotional part, with madness, with what we want, the sadness. We work with these different emotions, but there's some techniques that how we can work with aspects. But sometimes we ask ourselves that is difficult to ask, and there's an emptiness in the psychology. Is where to conduct this process, because it's always related to the maturity of the human and to plenitude. But I believe the 31st of May, it's a huge gift, because the father starts describing very well how is a human mature, what is a human being who's matured. This can maybe feel a kid, maybe be an authority with have the center in your life of love, the connections, the ideals, but also they have a freedom, interior freedom. But this is looking at all these aspects. The 31st of May puts in a lot of these concepts and makes these missions for the world. Well, I think this has helped me personally to conduct this psychological therapeutic. Sometimes we see this in therapy, but we also feel this in heart. So we ask ourselves, where is this? Where are we going with this into plenitude? So this is a reflection, with some of these concepts, very beautiful. So the mission of Schoenstatt is heal for a lot of. So, sister, your reflection, hearing the Father without reading the subtitles. My reflection is that the Father says that we should conduct the world into Christ, and that is the testimony of the church. And I thought of two thoughts. How are we going to conduct this? Is first, he doesn't live within us, and how is Christ showing us to show himself interesting and conduct him in our lives? And it's through us, with the harmony of the personality, feminine or masculinity, but it's harmonic, and that shows the person of Christ and his love, the conduction in the world conducted. That is the form that to show God, because we know that he doesn't show himself. And the second of all is the role of the Mary, the mother with us. The Father shows us the ideal, but he also gives us the hope, like a hand in hand, that is Mary. Not only her, an ideal, but her acting in the we don't only have the goal, but we also have hope. I don't know if there's any movement that gives two things: the hope and this is Schoenstatt has a high. And for me, God and presence of Mary is the most important. Mother, it teaches us, but give us your reflection. So a lot of thoughts came into my mind while I heard it. And the video one thing is that it caused my attention is that the father is talking about at the end of his life. He finished exilio and he made an entire. So he comes back as habits of the Mary. So he comes back with spiritual. And that's how he gave the step of May 31st. So we come back as the same spot. So I think it's in these moments that we are trying to reflect on this. It's good to remind ourselves that it's good that when he gives that step, he has an entire history before, with the movement, with the sisters, with the priests, with the youth. And it's a conviction that Shenshita is a art of God, and that God has been manifested himself so strongly in the alliance of the community that it has generated a life interior that has taken him to give this step of the 20th of January and for him to live the image of Christ, because that's the image that he also uses. The other experience that he has, we have to give it to the church. And that is, at the end of the day, is going to articulate and take this into something concrete. That is the May 31st. He says it afterwards in that context, that the reality that what I have to do is show the mission of Mary. But there's something that stops me from giving this. So we have to explain why the life of Mary is very important for us. So it's a proposal, and it helps us to understand here in the world and how it gives us I will also add that the fact that I am here, and he even says it himself, that it's the Holy Spirit that he gives. He gives the prophet jump, or there's something inside that he said the 18th of October and 20th of January and May. He had to live this moment inside, just like it's all or nothing. For him, the 18th of October, for him, it was Mary asked for this, and he has to. He was very conscious, but you have to remember that he asked us that, please remember this, that the light of faith, he said that for him, in the process, the interior process, for a religious process, that he lived like a mystic, that it was for him, it was everything or nothing. Because what he was playing with, it was an entire Schoenstatt. And even though he was giving us that, I think that inside him, and because he talks about the alignment, and because he talks about the being little, that for him, the 31st of May has to relate to this. So he also proposes something really important for us, is that so abandoning yourself to God is it helps you, it helps God also transform you. And that's why he also thinks the second point of his confidence is it's not possible for the Holy Spirit, for his grace, and that helps us think and helps us motivate us and advance. I will also add that an analogy, that a comparison in, if we think about the church after Christ already died, his disciples follow him, and they had listened to him, and they knew what he wanted, and they hide themselves, and they're waiting for what was about to happen, and the Holy Spirit comes in and helps them with the mission. And I think that thinking again, with going back what I said before, the content of the Saint Palekitenich, it's nothing new when he interprets 21st of May, when he talks about the healing of the soul. Emilia was before the 30. It's not that it occurred to him. If not, he finds this point of concentration and recapitulates this new form, but for him to transmit it into the church. And that comparison that we think is that we are capable for that mission is also the click as to if we are capable not only to repeat what he said, but to also do it with the form and the path that he also did with what he did with us today.
Muchas gracias. Aprovechando este lugar también que es cenáculo y en el cual podemos lograr implorar al Espíritu Santo para que sea también un Pentecostés para todos nosotros, este 31 de mayo. Santuario cenáculo.
Benjamin, what is the importance in our mission, in the shrine, in this reflection, in the psychology and the importance of the place itself? Well, thank you, sister and father, for your words, and it was very inspirational. The shrine, I think it's the sensible place. It's a concrete place before you. The rationality that the father was presented in that sense, that the shrine is like an antidote in the relation with, I can just sit in my room, something abstract with myself, but there's a lot of religious abstract within that line that you erase the sacraments. The mass, there's a lot of symbols. So the shrine is very important elements too in the movement and with the separation of the faith and life. And that's why I think the father thought it was very important the importance of the images and the symbols within. And I am very grateful that I was in Quasimodo, this religious it's a party in a horse that is within Chile, and you scream. There's a lot of expressions which I think is so we don't separate the faith and life. So I think it's a similar situation here where the shrine puts life and faith.
Hermano, usted habló de la mater, ¿no es cierto?, que nos tiene que educar. Quizás ese es el lugar para después salir de la reflexión a la vida. El tema de la autoeducación es maravilloso.
So a lot of times we identify auto education for time for to pray, or it's a little reductant, and it's marvelous. It's a faith that God gave us so we can grow. We have so many things, especially in Schoenstatt, to take the harmony of our person to God, to everyone, to show what is Mother Mary. So we all know that we are limited for our how we are and how we know we have to form her. We have to give her a goal, and which is more that humanly is. So that plus that it's that slow but with a goal very clear, our education, and that is very more that be conscious as Christian, as Catholic, as Schoenstatt, to be very much than what I acquire with my what I learned, with my formation, my circumstances of life, and that forms me more my natural how I grow to be, and not only don't put obstacle with how I am in the presence of God and Mary for the rest, for a mission. And that is a very gift that we receive in this shrine, but we have to be very clear that the auto education is something very big, which is very necessary. Father, and this concept of auto education to grow more, just like the sister said, but not to look for perfection, but to be an apostle. Well, I will say both things. The calling of all Christians is to look for the plenitude, and I hope and to be saints. The auto education is a help, and it's also a gift. And I think that it's very important, and one of the most important things in a context for our spiritual, like that we think the grace of God, He gives it to us, but not only think that I'm the one that makes so that I make them so that I receive the grace. If not, something happens, which Father said, that I am. What we have to do is open our hearts so God comes to us, and that is not very easy. That's very hard because we all want to dominate. That, of course, it's a path, but it is not the only path. So I think the shrine is the connection is very important, which gives us precisely what the Father said. It's a humanity, the humanity unity, the valorization of it. I think it gives me, when I read and investigate of Padre Kalinic, I have this sensation that for him, just like we have to let ourselves grow, that we can't pretend from one day to another that everything's wheat, all the small grains are perfect. Sometimes it's, and then sometimes I have to have the view that from there something can happen and I can receive that positive. So basically, that was positive act that he had is that a connection with Mary, and I also thought that was something that he said, that when he comes from is the fruit from the 31st May 31st. He says two important things that one impacted me, that when I read the heart, the shrine's heart, that's very important. He also mentioned that that dynamic, that the heart's shrine, that my consciousness that I am a possible reflect of another from our spirituality. It opens up a huge door from our culture of today, and that's the big stuff that to put the May 31st as hoping out in the culture, not only religiously and not only ours, we're gonna be better and saints, but if not, it's a hope. But we're not only doing that, we're hoping in the culture that is validated in these process. Not only these big goals, but the path that we have to take is, and not only to be a thought. Not only to have the thought that is not validated, but we have to transform in sensors, you can say, of the processes. And I think that Father gave help a lot in that, and Schoenstatt. Thank you very much. Before going and continuing, remind you that with the QR you can make some questions. Not only, you can also vote, not only make questions which are already there, and the ones that have a bigger vote will be asked. Benjamin Barro talked about a culture of more human. This talk about a lot of the mission of Shinshita, the mission of the what is the importance of the links to look for an equilibrium which is healthy, not only the links of that guard, but also the connection with our brothers. I'm gonna make like a little round, a reflection, but also a reminder that when I was doing my doctorate, it was a naturality of what a psychologist did. What are we? A psychologist, but a spiritual director, a dad, a mom, a teacher. What is the specific of psychology? The psychologist sees the world of emotions and orders and helps how these to equilibrate these. So to think about these ideas, one day I was praying, and I found myself with a lecture that maybe some of you know is the dream of Jacob. And he says that one day he fell asleep in a rock, and he dreamed of some stairs that were in the earth, which to the sky, and the angel were going up and down the stairs. And that image helped me a lot, because the naturality of the human, the creation of one can think of that you can think of this. We have materialistic things, we have vegetation and animals, rationality, us human. And we have God, we have the angels, the saints, the community of saints. One day we are out there, one day, but we don't see them, but it's there. So in these stairs, we can think about them like as if. So understanding about what a psychologist said is that it's fundamental to help in those first steps, the sensibility of human. And one day I was investigating and the internet, just what are these stairs, and I saw that these stairs were actually an image of Mary. So for me it was very beautiful, because I missed two worlds, and there was a psychology and with my world of Shanshta, listening to the Father and Mary, which is the bridge for the natural and unnatural. So I built this image of the stairs and see how the Father was, as all his teachings is going and helping this. He's helping us with these first steps, and he's clearly a step ahead of us, but he helps us conduct us towards God. So I think reinforces of these stairs and Mary with the bridge and the importance that the Father gives to heal and obtain that sensible, and how the links are fundamentals. The links heal us. I see it very much in my practice. It's a signal of the principle that there's difficulties in these links and connections within fathers with their kids, or when you're a boss and you have to. So another reflection of that I leave there. Sister wants to mention something. I want to add something very nice that he said, that with the links of our own day to day. We think that we normally think links are the person or places or some ideas, but the life concrete, what I am facing, for example, what I try is with something that we are facing in the job, or today I feel bad, or I don't want to do my or one of my family members happens something to him, or someone says something bad to me. Those small things are for me of the conduct of God with concrete life, and that is what the Father really really wanted to show in the May 31st. It's not only a life. It's not only a book. I mean, it's when I studied something, but in the time, I saw that it's a matter of living. So if I take into consideration the daily life, I'm not doing that point of intersection with Mary in the unnatural God and the life here on earth. The 31st, it's being in the center of two realities and know how to use them in harmony and happiness, and to find God in the little things in life. Just like Asuncion said in the last impulse that she talked about, that people will look for these things as with yoga, meditation, but with us Schoenstatt, we have this method of finding ourselves with God in the circumstances. Padre Raúl. Continue with the links. This is very interesting. We have to find ourselves in God in every single part of our life. But I want to amplify this. I want to add this to a little accent because of this history. I had to. I said something very beautiful, but I wanted to add for the 31st of May, the same Padre explained that he abstains an experience, and he tries to conceptualize it, to transmit this, and to be noticed, understandable. So some of us have tried to read his books, which is very more complicated than we actually thought. But it's not only the experience. What I wanted to show, and I think there's a difficulty in which is there's a challenge that we might be like we have to be transmit an experience, but for us to show that and to show that message, it has to be conceptually. The academies tries to do that with the different. But that's why the links are very important too. We can't just be happy within ourselves and how we are here and take a definition of the links that the Father had, that if we have it in the memory. But it's at the end for our club inside us, and we can't close this. We have to transmit this to the church and other person and other people. And these things that has been investigated these many years is huge. The level of psychology. And where we stand here, where we positioned. And this requires a lot of work, intellectual, conceptual work that is within that area, and that gives that helps out, because it's not like we have a message and an offer, but that cannot be transmitted or other people can see and see. This is very easy to say. Or maybe the first cause, the second cause, the theology, it's this and that. It's how do we talk about this? Because it can't be just, I believe. It can be just spiritually and how we have to be better. There's a message, and I think that there is a homework right there that we have to talk about the links and where we just talked. And the Father also talked about the to think and love organically. That's why the mechanism. Can you explain a little bit of this, please? I don't know how to explain it, but let me see. Pope Francis said a phrase when he came to Chile. Some of us still have the image of that beautiful visit. And he said it in the University of Católica. And I think it's a phrase that helps a lot that understand and maybe understand and to live organically is that he said
que hay que enseñar
that you
a
have to
pensar
teach, you have to teach how to think
lo que se siente
what
y se hace,
what it
a
feels and
sentir
what you
lo que se
do.
piensa y se hace,
Analyze what you
y a hacer
feel
lo que
and
se
do,
piensa y se siente.
and to do what you feel and you do.
Un trabalengua. Ya, lo repito, miren.
Repetir, para que anoten, todos
Eso,
anoten.
para que vaya. Tenemos el pensar, el sentir y el hacer. Entonces el Papa
We have-
Francisco decía hay que enseñar a pensar.
We have to teach,
A sentir lo que se piensa y se hace y a hacer lo que se piensa y se siente. ¿Es mejor? Ya. Entonces, si uno lo mezcla un
So
poco
if you
con lo que
mix
decía antes,
what I said before with the Pope Francis
cuando así
quotes,
funciona una persona
is
madura,
that that's how a matured person
con su naturaleza,
with his naturality
sí,
is
desarrollada, lograda, porque si nosotros
formalized.
nos centramos en
If we
sentir, vamos a tener una persona
make something that only feels, someone who can be someone who's impulsive and with difficulties in that dimension. That
si acentuamos solo
so
el pensar,
if we just have someone that thinks, has rationality, someone who's really rational, that separates him with faith and life, and other.
si acentuamos mucho el
So
hacer,
if we have someone who leads himself with action, just everything is outside without internal.
que sean instancias que
So it's very important to have these instances that you connect yourself with. It's very important to the last process that we have this, to be in contact with our senses. What is happening in this what is happening with me in this different situation, compare them, but not only that, but also feel what I feel, because sometimes we go to abstract and so it's very important to experiment what the important is, the experience, to not fall in ideologies, fake ideologies. So this dialogue is to feel, think, is very important that we can cultivate day to day. I'm sorry for complicating. Sister, and that you all sister lived so close to Father Catanich with his love that sometimes we see something so many texts, so intellectual, but he wasn't only a mind of organic, but he also made the other person feel, making them feel with God and with him. And tell us a little bit of the community in the sisters. I did not meet him personally, but what I received the proper community is that he was a person, a humanly person, but in his humanity, he transmitted a God, and that's one of the things that I was impacted in. And he also expressed affection. He wasn't only just of a big growth intellectual, of a huge vision for the church, but if not, he was also giving in the life of every day. So when he visits us here in Chile or in the province in Latin America, he gave his time. He wanted to meet the sister. He wanted to meet them, and he went to Brazil, traveled with them with so many days, a lot of days and night in the train, because he wanted to really meet the sisters. So it was very personal. He was very close, empathetic, and also paternal, to oriented, and also make feel that the sister as community and a lot of very personally, they were very. He remembered a lot of the sisters, their letters and their faces. After 30 years, he remembered every single person. So he knew individually. For him, it was very important, the individuality of each of those sisters. So for Emilia and the process for her to change, experiment. It was very clear, and we have talked about the cause, the first, the second, the links, the organic, and the importance of the Holy Spirit and all of this. What is the role of the Holy Spirit? Before passing through the questions. In the church, the Holy Spirit is like something that unites us. Also, it unites us with love, and it's also the one that makes us go to plenitude. The fulfillment. Why a shrine? You will vinculate yourself with a place or with that reality. It's the force of God that begins, that takes form, and to help us within inside, and it's animated and cheerful, but also is a man that force of God, but with one direction that you also said that it's the plenitude, that to make that happen and create in we don't have a vision of a person who has half, but we also have the seed to transform ourselves with that what God really wanted to give us, not only to us but also to everyone. So to be alliated with, have allied to the Holy Spirit, it's what helps us go into our mission. Now Rodrigo is gonna say the questions and the votes that were given. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone that participated. I'm gonna read the question with the most votes and a little summary. So one of the concerns, the biggest one, is the shrine. How are we gonna compete in this current of the links with the culture, the actual culture? The culture of today, the concentration, the power of men, and of how are we of the top overlying the other questions that. So it's a little summary of what motivates. I wanted to also say that all the questions that have come here are saved. This content is also saved, which will be given later to the panelists. Thank you very much. So the paper of the shrine that has. The home shrine within the house brings more strength. Has a characteristic it's a little personal for each family. Each one of us put in a little something personal. So we have one in our garden, very beautiful. I have a lot of memories praying the month of Mary. All of my family, 6 brothers, praying. So I think it helps. That's very. So it helps us even when you're for kids and when you're little. Maybe it doesn't help our adults because it's something I recommend. I recommend a lot. It's an experience that kids obtain it more. Their relationship with Mary. So I think goes aligned with May 31st and the faith in life.
Cómo competir hoy día con la cultura actual, ¿no es cierto? La corriente actual que es tan individualista, más egoísta y más competitiva.
Me viene algo parecido que cuando hicieron el panel pasado.
So for the last panel, when they asked the question of the youth, automatically I thought of just saying patience. I think that even the Father said it various times that we're trying to work for the after tomorrow. So it's not when we see that the world goes to a different direction, going against the current. I think it's God tells us that we give it of today, our maximum, what we're doing today. So how are we going to compete with culture today? I think it's with a lot of patience, trying every day to day what we can do. And within that, the Father tells us a lot of clues as to the links with the person, with our hearts. I like to think sometimes that our interior, that our hearts has a lot of names, that each one of us has a lot of names within ourselves, that people that we think a lot of times are family, friends. And I think that personal cultivation, that personal is what's the most going to help us and help after the culture from the outside. It's not I don't think it's a technique, or it doesn't go to that. I don't think it's that direction, but I think it's the testimony of ourselves, and first be connecting to God and then making testimony. Thank you. In that same line, do you want to add something? I am 100% agree, and I want to add that we are here 1,500, and a lot of them are a house. Let's live. Let's make the world a little different in what Benjamin said. With my testimony, with our testimony, united, we can see that we have something different to give. If we don't have nothing to give, then turn off the light. We have seen the challenge is huge, but it's beautiful. Father, you wanted to add something? Yes, I wanted to add up some things. I think that there's an element that is very important that is at the end. That when he comes back to Vatican II, that the culture has a value, a big value, that because before they will fight like the element where God was not present. So you always they see something negative. So today, I think that today a lot of us, we see it too in our small circle, like Christian circles, that the culture is very very rotten, and there's a lot of holes and presents a lot of challenges. But I think that we forget the other view that recognize the culture of the presence of God, that reality that God became man, and that He is present within us. That we have to obtain that and feel that God is present, and the seed of God is here in all places. And also where it's not, there is a seed. And I think it's a view, an open view, and to see if the person is valuable, because each person is valuable because we're all creatures of God, creations of God. And I think something that I learned in Shenshta is that it's a part of our spiritual, something we talk about with different we talk about someone different, like, oh, look at that person, how they conduct themselves like that. But sometimes, but he asks himself, why is he is like that? Why is he has? So someone who looked kind of came here and looked kind of, and you have to ask yourself, that doesn't. We have to view that person not from the outside, but also view themselves inside. So we have to view the positive side of the culture, because we're also gonna find within that a click in our spirituality. If not, we're not gonna find it. So today we're gonna have 33. We're gonna have 3 workshops where we can see in various parts. So we're gonna link it with what we're gonna see today in the afternoon. So last question, a little what they mentioned, but maybe from the particularly the communities that what they represent and what they have in their hearts. Hermana, how would you describe in terms this personality of maturity that is built within the shrine? What characteristics this maturity does it have that builds up with the work of Mary, and how they see it within their community? Benjamin already described it. Yes. He talked about, with my own words, the order of the person, and the part intellectual, emotional, and internal. When those 3 things are in order, then the person is mature. He is guided. And he feels it. It's the same as what he said. So thank God we have these workshops. In the matured person is the one that's who influenced this story, not only, but especially. There's a lot of characteristics you can say, because someone who's matured resumes everything that that the Father said, all the values that it's a very long or infinite description of it. But some elements that are the important ones. First of all, a matured person acts from inside to outside. Does not is centered in the exterior and the projects and the materialistics, but it's not. The importance is the person ideal to that person knows himself, his story, and what that. All of us have a history, a story within ourselves, with our family. So a mature person knows that, identifies that, and it has worked with them, and with that strength and tempers has seen a cause of their life, and that cause is expressing, in with his projects and his relationships with one thing or another, often one thing from another. So a mature person has that element within himself from inside to outside. Matured is act with reason and emotion. Both things are very important. The 3 things are very important. To feel and act, but in that order. To act because of this is something inside our mind that is observing, knowing within, knowing himself, and from that reason is integrating an emotion that's given in life, a gift that he's work. It's better to work with happiness and say, be able to say, ask for forgiveness. It's better to fight for the injustice with hate. It's better to have hate that, not hate, but it's very important to still have it in life. Well, there's infinite, but we'll leave it up to here. Pablo. Well, I just remembered something that I read, that he said that we learn that to conduct our own life automatically, but we also to desire and build our own consciousness, and then and do what we really want, our desires.
Y después hay algo que recuerdo que el Padre Kentenich también acentúa respecto a las personas que dice que sean capaces de
To be able to express yourself and transmit what happened with them inside, to be capable to say what happens to me, what I feel, what I look for. But that for me to be able to put that into words to someone else is we're not talking about, but that capability to express the world within yourself is something marks a maturity, a person of maturity. And I want to add one more element to close this, and we're not alone. We're family. We have. And we go one with the other. So not only we have with Mary, we do this as a family. So thank you very much for your reflection. Pedro here brings a gift to you. Please do not stand up. Stay in your seat to hear the indications. Give big an applause. Thank you very much. This impulse was beautiful. Thank you, thank you. Well, I'm learning a lot. There's a lot of things that I'm a little. I wasn't that bad. I knew, but I learned a lot, and it's a huge gift for all of us. So we have some indications. So it's the best moment of the time. What could it be? This was incredible. So there's some stands that were prepared with a lot of love. So when you walk pass by the stands, please, they miss you. Hermana Emily.
Tenemos un stand que tiene algún encargo especial. Está el stand de la Fundación del Padre Hernán.
So when es Fundación Padre Hernán.
Dentro de los asistentes que tenemos hoy, hubo gente que lo conoció, que haya compartido con él y quisiera pasar a compartir algún recuerdo, alguna experiencia. Van a estar ahí tomando nota.
Also pass through the library, some gifts. They have some really good gifts. They gave her the book so she can take it to Ecuador. So some practical. Remember, we are a lot of people. There's a lot of moments. We have some places to go and go. So if you see a trash or in the bathroom, you see some, or not only trash, if there's objects that you find, please give them to the There's some glasses. There's some glasses that were lost. So if you find them, there's a bag of Valentina Lopez we also found. So it's going to be in the stand of information. Please take care of your things. Let's take care of each other, one another. Also, let's visit the Tomb of Maria, which is behind the shrine. I just have one question, if we have it all clear. At what time does the workshops start?
No hay que decirles nada. Otro tema práctico, en su credencial,
in their credentials,
aparece el comedor que tienen asignado. Es importante que se dirijan. ¿Cuál es tu comedor? El mío es la carpa misión.
Mine is.
Suficiente.
Pero eso también, o sea, aprovechemos
I know we like to be with each other, with the same dedication, but also let's experience being with other people that we don't know. But also landing let's talk about what we learned, what we heard in the impulse. Last message. Federation of Chile and the world that is present today. We have an invitation. So at 5:15 before your church, we're gonna go meet outside here, outside the church. So international Fidel that also want to get together to take a picture. So thank you and have some fun. See you at 2:30. On point.
Muchas gracias.